Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, we invite you to a love story of depth, drama, and unexpected tenderness. The journey of Diep and James, a CEO once considered untouchable and a woman charged with a world few can overcome. Their story is not just about romance, but about what happens when broken hearts find refuge in each other, and the true meaning of family is redefined. In previous chapters, we met John, a master manipulator whose dark agenda threatens everything James holds dear. His most brazen act? Sabotaging James's car, turning an ordinary trip into a brush with death. The crash was catastrophic. Metal bent, glass shattered, and the city stood still for a moment in shock. But miraculously, James suffered only minor injuries, a clear sign that his story was not over. There was more to fight for. Much more. In the silence that followed, as both sides prepared for the inevitable clash, James and Diep took advantage of a brief moment of peace. In that rare silence, they shed their armor, no longer CEO and survivor, but simply two people deeply in love. They cooked together, wandered under the colorful sky, and enjoyed the luxurious silence, listening to each other's heartbeats instead of the chaos looming around them. But the peace, as usual, was fleeting. When Diep could no longer bear the noise of city life, the rumors, the threats, the pressure, she returned to where it all began, her foster parents' country house. The village welcomed her with open skies and familiar scents, rain-dampened earth, bamboo leaves swaying in the wind, and the soft whispers of old folk songs echoing in the air. The old couple who raised her remained unchanged, still gentle, still full of love. In their simple wooden house, Diep found the peace she had long been missing. Each morning began with mist covering the hills and the soft crowing of roosters. Diep tied her hair, prepared her basket and scissors, and walked with her foster mother down the long red dirt paths to the lychee orchard hidden behind the mountains. It was harvest season. The trees were heavy with clusters of bright red fruit, sparkling like gems in the morning sun. She moved deftly, picking the fruit lightly and wiping the sweat from her brow. Her face, flushed with the sun and joy, seemed to glow, alive in a way that no luxury could match. She laughed, stumbled, got muddy, laughed again. It was not a retreat. It was a return, to herself, to love, to life. Later, at the market, the fruit sold well. Buyers came not only for the lychees but also for the woman behind them, a humble woman, her eyes kind and warm. Diep gave the money to her foster mother without hesitation. "I only helped with the harvest," she whispered. "You planted these trees." The old woman did not answer, only squeezed her hand. No more words were needed. Back in the city, James watched from afar. Business had slowed, but his mind was still on the goal. Diep's son, her whole world, was finally settled overseas. Now it was time to bring him home. James secretly contacted his mother abroad. They arranged flights, paperwork, and a reunion. It was a gift, but more than that, it was a rebirth. Diep had never celebrated a birthday. For her, those days passed like any other, quietly, sometimes even painfully. But James remembered the day they met. For him, that was her real birthday. The day her life changed. The day he found her. So he chose that day to give her the most meaningful surprise. As James's mother stepped off the plane in Vietnam, a little boy ran up to hug her, shouting, "Grandma." Their relationship was already blossoming. The plan was simple but emotional. Celebrate Diep's first birthday, not in a fancy hotel or a high-end apartment, but in the humble home where she had healed. That evening, as Diep returned from the market, she stopped at the gate. Something was different. The courtyard had been transformed. Lanterns and string lights flickered in the twilight. Balloons danced gently in the wind. A long wooden table was set under a tree, decorated with a simple vanilla mousse cake, a bouquet of wildflowers, and a wooden sign that read, "Happy birthday, Diep, our family's daughter." She stiffened. Then, silently, she turned and walked toward the back wall, covering her mouth with her hand to hold back her tears. She had never wanted this. Never imagined it could be true. James found her there, her back to him, her shoulders shaking. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You don't have to cry today," he whispered. "This is your day, Diep." She turned, her eyes red, her lips trembling with laughter. He wiped her tears and took her hand. Inside, her foster aunt called out cheerfully, "Blow out the candles, my dear." Her mother-in-law smiled warmly beside the cake. Her uncle gently rocked the cradle where her son slept, peaceful and finally home. Diep stood still for a moment. Then she stepped forward, closed her eyes, and made a wish, not for wealth or power, but for this moment to never fade. She blew out the candles, and the courtyard erupted in soft applause. Then came the gifts. A soft, flowing dress. A pair of ballet slippers she had admired. A velvet box containing white pearl jewelry, chosen by her mother-in-law herself. No elaborate speech, just a gentle hug, just clasped hands, speaking volumes in silence. At dinner, the table was filled not with wealth, but with love: golden fried chicken, crispy spring rolls, fresh herbs, and her favorite mung bean dessert. James sat beside her, attentive, gentle, and grateful. Every look, every bite was a promise. That night, as the stars scattered across the countryside, Diep realized something profound. She was no longer alone. John still lurks in the shadows. The danger is not gone. But Diep and James now have something no enemy can destroy. A home built with love, a child between them, and a family that has chosen them both. Their journey is far from over, but their hearts have found a home. Join us for the next chapter. Because this is more than just a love story, it is a fight for justice. A fight for peace. A rebirth of belonging.